Silk is an important resource in Hollow Knight Silksong as it allows Hornet to perform silk skills and heal herself. We can double our starting silk capacity by collecting all 18 spool fragments, which can be done before leaving Act 2 of the game. All of that will be covered in this guide, and as usual, useful timestamps can be found in the video description. Before getting started, I organized this guide so that we are getting the spool fragments in an order that I found to be the easiest to follow while progressing through the game. That being said, if you don't have all Act 1 and 2 Traversal abilities, you may want to pull up the guides that I have on getting those, and I'll leave links to them near the bottom of this video's description. Our first spool fragment can be obtained very early on. We'll move west from the Marrow Bellway and to the end of the first chamber in the Mosshome area, dropping through the southwest passage. We'll then move west into the next chamber and drop down to an area above Bone Bottom. Moving east, we can quickly activate a lift that goes down to Bone Bottom, pass over an Acnid carrying a Mossberry, then move into and up a new chamber. There are some rosaries at the top, but more importantly, there is a wall we can break to reveal the spool fragment. I'm indicating the location of the spool fragments on the map with the black and bronze map markers. For the next fragment, we'll start at the Deep Docks Bellway and move out east, following the bench sign down. We'll then need to move down the lift and out to the west. Going further down, we will enter the open chamber to the east, and if you are somewhat limited on traversal abilities, you'll need to hit the lever on the east side of this platforming section to complete it. Our second spool fragment and first full extra node of silk is in the top west corner of the chamber. The remaining spool fragment in Deep Docks cannot be obtained until Act 2, so we'll come back to it later. The next spool fragment that we should get is after our arrival to the halfway home in Greymoor. We'll move up one level into the east of the home, then pass through the next two chambers that follow. On the far side of the third chamber, we can hit a lever to open a shortcut, then platform our way up in a zigzag pattern, and the spool fragment is in the top west corner of this area. Our fourth spool fragment will require us to unlock the Needolin and lift the curse of Bellhart. We can then complete the My Missing Courier quest. For that, we will first need to unlock the gate that is west of the Shellwood Bellway station, and I'll show the path I took to get there, starting from Bellhart. You can skip ahead if you've already done this. After unlocking the shortcut near the Shellwood Bellway and nearby bench, we can then move west from there until reaching a large stony cavern with a gap at the center. Dropping down along the west wall, we should eventually find our lost Courier being accosted by 2 Caranids. After defeating them, we can speak with Tip to complete the My Missing Courier wish. Returning to Bellhart, we should now be able to buy a Spool Fragment from Frey the Merchant, though I already bought it in my game. Also, with the Needolin, we can now access Weavenest Atla near Bone Bottom. The door to the nest is on the upper east side of Moss Grotto, and we'll gain access by playing our Needolin outside it. If it's our first time here, we'll need to move all the way east and hit 2 buttons to turn the power back on. We can then take the central lift down to the center of the nest. There are many secrets here to explore, but for our purposes, we'll climb up the east wall of this central chamber, then move west. Past a couple of Marrow, we should find this Spool Fragment floating in the air. I already picked it up in my game, but it should be in that broken vessel at the end of the clip. Spool Fragment number 6, which we can get in late Act 1, is in the Slab. The only way to get there in Act 1 is to be abducted. I covered the abduction and jailbreak thoroughly in my guide for how to unlock double jump, though it should also be usable in Act 1 of the game. Just to point you in the right direction, there is a Wardenfly with a cage that will spawn in the top eastmost chamber of Deep Docks. We have to let it capture us to get to the Slab in Act 1. I've also heard of rogue Wardenflies appearing in Greymoor and Bylewater, though I have not seen them in my own playthroughs. These Wardenfly don't respawn as far as I know, so if you defeat them all or miss the opportunities to be abducted, you'll have to wait until Act 2 to access the Slab via Coral Chambers. All that aside, we can get this Spool Fragment once we've retrieved our items and gone to the Slab Bellway bench. From there, we'll move through the upper passage. We then have to go east, up, then west and up into another chamber. We'll then need to platform up some cages and exit through the upper passage. We can then dash west to the exterior of the slab and wall climb our way up to the Spool Fragment. I'll also quickly show the path to the Slab Bellway in Act 2, starting from the Grand Bellway in Coral Chambers. You can skip ahead if you do not need this. If this is the first time you are entering this lab, then many of these shortcuts will not be open to you. You will instead need to follow the path that I take to reach the Bellway station. The remaining 12 spool fragments either must be obtained in Act 2 or are much easier to obtain in Act 2. To start, there are 2 that we can get in Whiteward if we go there while on Sherma's personal quest or wish, and we will also need to complete Jubilana's questline to get a 3rd spool fragment, so let's try to knock those all out in an efficient manner if possible. After establishing Songclave, we should be able to pick up the Wandering Merchant quest immediately, and this was the first quest that I completed here. We will also need to complete the Fine Pins quest at some point, so we should start that as well. To do the Wandering Merchant quest, we will start at the Grand Bellway and move up and west from there towards another bench to rest at. It isn't necessary to rest there, but it serves as a checkpoint. I want to mention that there may be a more optimal way to tackle this questline, as completion of the Balm for the Wounded quest is required to advance to Jubilana's 2nd quest. I didn't do it until after our current quest, but if you were to complete the Building Up Songclave donation quest, fast travel away and back again, then speak to Sherma and go rest in Memorium, that should allow you to start the Balm for the Wounded questline. You could then complete that right after the Wandering Merchant quest, cutting down on travel time. I don't know for sure if it would work out, but if anyone has done it that way and can confirm that it works with a comment, I'd be grateful. That aside, from the bench that served as our checkpoint, we can drop down a couple of levels and go into the Western Chamber. There, we'll find several enemies, and defeating them will allow Jubilana to emerge from her hiding spot. Speaking to her will complete the Wandering Merchant quest. Now, if you do have the Balm for the Wounded quest already, you can just go down to the east from here into Whiteward and skip ahead in the video. For everyone else, let's go and get that quest. To get Sherma to arrive at the camp, we will need to complete the Building Up Songclave quest by donating 300 rosaries. We will then fast travel away from Songclave and back to it. Even after Sherma arrives, we still need to trigger her leaving the camp to find supplies. For that, we should speak through all of her dialogue, then go rest at a bench in Memorium. We can reach Memorium by going up and west of Songclave. Past 2 Grand Reeds, we'll find the entrance to this conservatory of sorts. Leaping up to it, we can whack away the vines and then enter. The bench we will rest at is in the first chamber to the east. After resting there, we can return to Songclave and Sherma should now be absent. With Sherma gone, there will also be a new side quest or wish at the mission board, the Balm for the Wounded. To complete it, we'll need to fast travel to the Grand Bellway and make our way down to Whiteward from there. Many of you probably know how to get there at this point, but for those who don't, I'll show a brief walkthrough to take us there. If this is your first time in Whiteward, then you will need to use the white key to open the lift and gain access to the nearby bench. We'll then need to take the elevator down and run through a quick platforming section to clear away some debris and open the path forward. I already did this in my game, so if you're following me and there is an obstacle in your way at any point, just whack it with your needle until it gets out of the way. After opening the new paths in the elevator shaft, we can do something sneaky to get a free silk spool half. Wall climb up to the top of the shaft, step on the pressure plate to call up the lift, then quickly drop down and into one of the side tunnels of the elevator shaft so that it can pass above us. This will allow us to drop down and below where the elevator is normally blocking to get a free silk spool half. With double jump, we can quickly jump back up to the elevator shaft and wall climb up to the east tunnel. If we don't have double jump yet, we will need to take the long way around. Either way, we'll want to move east along this new tunnel and drop down to the room where the map station is normally at. We can then keep moving east into the crematorium. After jumping over 2 morticians, we'll clamber up 1 level and move west. Be sure to move all the way west to grab the injector band tool here if you have not already, then move into the nearby corridor. Breaking through some debris, we'll find Sherma cowering in the dark. Speaking with her will initiate a short combat in which we need to defeat a few waves of enemies. Afterwards, we can speak with Sherma multiple times to complete her rescue and quest, and also to get another free silk spool half. We'll come back to Jubilana's questline later, but for now, let's go get another 2 quick spool fragments in the Underworks. Starting from the Underworks Ventrica, we can move out east, then drop down to the tubes below. Watching out for the exhaust traps, we'll move west through the tubes to reach a small arena where a couple waves of enemies must be defeated. We can then move just a bit further west to get this spool fragment, which I've already done here. We'll then return to the Underworks Ventrica and cross the bridge to the east, making our way to the bench near the Architect NPC. We'll then need to move further east past all the chorused constructs in the background. Entering a new area, we'll need to jump over a spike pit, then drop all the way down a tall vertical chamber. At the bottom, to the west, there is a breakable wall and our 10th spool fragment is on the other side. The next spool fragment we'll get is in the Cogwork core. To access that area, we'll need to move up and west from Songclave past several Grand Reed enemies. We'll then need to defeat the Cogwork Dancers boss if we haven't already, interact with the center console in the room, and drop down to the area below. The map station and bench for the core is in a room to the west. Moving down into the Cogwork core, we'll need to platform our way over to the bottom eastmost exit of this area. We can then jump up to a spacious room with a Cogwork clapper and a gate that takes a long time to open up. Once the gate is open, we can move through and drop down into a maze-like tube system. Carefully dodging past exhaust traps, we'll go down the first tube to the west, then move east and over a large exhaust trap to reach the spool fragment. Our next spool fragment we'll cover is in the Memorium and requires double jump to get. This is also where we will complete Jubilana's questline, so let's get back to that and cover it first. If we haven't already done so, we will need to complete the Find Pins quest or wish. I did this at the Grand Bellway, farming the Choristers for Find Pins. And at the same time, I equipped some tools to maximize the Rosary's gain rate, as this spot also serves as a pretty good Rosaries farm. The pins are not a guaranteed drop, and it took me about 6 minutes to get all 10 pins required. In that time, I also farmed up about 900 Rosaries. Returning to Songclave, we can interact with the mission board to deposit the Find Pins and complete that wish. Fast traveling away and back again should then cause a new donation quest to appear, strengthening Songclave, in which we will need to donate 500 Rosaries. After that, we can fast travel away and back once more to cause Jubilana to leave. And a couple of new quests will be available, including the Lost Merchant. We will need to start that quest, then make our way up into the west back to the Memorium. We don't currently have the map for the Memorium, but we are about to get it. Starting from the bench, we'll move out west and go up a couple of floors, then down the eastern path with the enemies from the Marrow region. Just beyond the Rhino Grund, we will need to drop down and go into the bottom east chamber. There will be a map station for the Memorium there, and we can purchase the map if we want to see where it is that we are at on the world map. Jubilana is also not far from here. We can double jump up to a hidden passage just above and slightly east of the map station while clinging and climbing up. We'll then move out east to an exterior region with a long bridge. Jubilana will be found partway across the bridge, and we'll need to defeat a couple waves of Drape Flies and Drape Lords attacking her. After that, we can speak through all of her dialogue to complete the Lost Merchant quest. We will get that Spool Fragment from Jubilana in a moment, but since we are already out here, let's go grab the other fragment in the Memorium. We'll move back into the Memorium from the bridge, and after exiting the map chamber, we'll need to platform our way up and into the Shellwood themed region. Going up the center of that room, we can break some spiked growths to reveal and enter the Sands of Carrick themed area of the Memorium. We'll make our way west past a crust crag and out of this chamber. In the next chamber, we can drop down and break away some vines to open a shortcut back to the bench and entrance of the Memorium. We'll then want to head back up and through the chamber to the west. Dropping down, we'll need to avoid a pit of spikes, then navigate a short but tricky platforming section to reach this spool fragment. We can break through the nearby vines and move through a couple of chambers to get back to the entrance of the Memorium. Also, now would be a good time to go back to Songclave and purchase our 13th spool fragment from Jubilana. The next spool fragment we'll get is in High Halls, and double jump makes it a lot easier to get. It's also where the Cogflies are crafted, and I'll show how to get there starting from the Grand Bellway, and you can skip ahead if you don't need this part. If we don't have the shortcut here opened up, we'll need to take a side path to the west to get around it. After getting to the bench near High Halls, we'll need to use the claw line to move up and through the first few segments of it. I don't know if double jump is absolutely necessary to get this spool fragment, but it will absolutely make it easier to get. Just above the first spinning wheel and 2 ministers, we'll need to get up to a ledge to the west that is a lot easier to reach with double jump. This next section is also a lot easier with Cogflies, as we will need to platform up 2 consecutive spinning wheels while being harassed by more ministers. At the top of the tower, we can break a glass bulb to get our spool fragment. We'll return to Lower Farloom for our next 2 spool fragments. The first of these can be obtained near the Blasted Steps Bellway, and I'll show the path there starting from the Shellwood Bellway. You can skip ahead if you've already done this. This spool fragment is super easy to get from the Blasted Steps Bellway, assuming we have double jump and rosaries. We just need to move out west and up into a nearby chamber. We can then double jump to reach Grindle, and he acts as a merchant in this location. The spool fragment isn't cheap, but we do need it. The 16th spool fragment is in Deep Docks and is only accessible with the Clawline ability, and a simple key is also needed to access this area as far as I know. From the Bellway, we will move east and down into that same area as before, but this time we will need to go east after descending on the lift and defeat several enemies in an arena if we have not already. This will unlock a nearby bench and the Forge Daughter Merchant. We can then move down into the arena and go east through a door that requires a simple key to open. After moving through 2 large chambers, we can drop to the lower east corner of the second one and use the Clawline ability to pull a ring lever and open a new path down. We'll then need to go to the bottom east corner of this new chamber and get through a somewhat tense platforming section involving lava, spikes, falling rocks, and explosives. The Ascendant Script tool definitely makes this section a lot easier. One of the final 2 spool fragments will require completing at least some of the Flea Caravan questline, so hopefully you've been saving those guys whenever you happen upon them. To start the quest, we can find the Fleas at their first caravan site in the Marrow. They are a short distance east and down from the Marrow Bellway station. There, we can speak with Mushka and start the wish or quest to find the missing Fleas throughout Farloom, and both the generic and unique or named Fleas count towards our progress. I'll show my map with the Fleas I rescued indicated by red and gold map markers. I want to eventually make a guide for all Flea locations, but this will have to do for now. We need to save a total of 15 Fleas to get the spool fragment. Before that though, saving just 5 Fleas will prompt Mushka to move his caravan to Greymoor. We can travel with them, then speak to Grishkin after our arrival to get the Flea Brew tool. Even after rescuing the 15 Fleas, the caravan will not move to its next location until we have defeated the last judge near the Grand Gate. That is also where the other spool fragment is located. To fight the last judge, we'll first need to activate all 5 of the bell shrines in Lower Farloom. I'll quickly show where those are on the map. The first is in the Marrow, then Deep Docks, then there is the one that we are most likely to have missed in Greymoor. The fourth is in Shellwood, and the last is above Bellhart. Once we've activated all 5 of those shrines, we can move up and to the east from the Blasted Steps Bellway, eventually arriving at the Grand Gate. Upon our first arrival here, we'll need to speak with the pilgrims and then play our Needolin to summon the last judge. I'll just go ahead and show the build that I used to defeat him, which made the fight pretty fast and easy overall. Before going back to give the Fleas the good word, let's head into the Grand Gate for our 17th Spool Fragment. We'll need to complete a puzzle involving several scale-style platforms to reach the top of this large chamber. Once we do though, we'll be rewarded with a Spool Fragment. Now that we've defeated the last judge, and after rescuing 15 or more Fleas, we can speak with Mushka near Bellhart to prompt the next journey. Traveling with them, we will be taken to the Blasted Steps just outside the Grand Gate. There, Mushka will give us a Spool Fragment, and if you've been following this guide, it should be our final one. We should now have 9 additional spools to store silk, and that means we can hold double our original capacity. With that, we can now heal 2 times in a row, which is super useful. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me in the comments where I will do my best to help. If you want to see more great content, you can head over to my channel, and if you're new, consider subscribing. You're helping me feed my cat. Her name's Marshmallow. Have a great day if you're here today, have a great Thursday, and as always, thanks for watching.